Yeah, hi, Mikhail, and thanks a lot for agreeing to participate in this interviewing series.
Yeah, hi, Manuel, and hi, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
first of all, congratulations to your new position at a CA list. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I think I should also say congratulations to you on your new position at the National University of Singapore. It's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, when did you actually start with your new appointment? You already started, right?
Yeah, I've started in September 2020. So yeah, it's a bit less than a year from now when we are doing the interview, more or less. Yeah.
I see. And what was your path that led you to this position?
Yeah, so actually, yeah, originally from Belgium, and yeah, I basically have a PhD in computer science from the Université de Namur, so it's close to Brussels. And yeah, after my PhD, I did the first postdoc at Université Paris-Saclay, so it's close to Paris in France, and then a second one at Imperial College in London in the UK, and then I just got. Tenured researcher position there at CEA List in the BINSEC team in Paris, and it's actually the place where I did my first postdoc. So that's how I ended up there actually.
And what is your research direction about?
Yeah, so I basically develop techniques and software tools to help make programs more secure. So basically, I try to focus on this situation where the source code of the program is not available, so that you should provide the guarantees about safety and security only with the binary code at hand. And this can be quite challenging. And yeah, I consider many ways to do that, but I have a focus on techniques like fuzzing and symbolic execution to try to detect vulnerabilities automatically within the binary code.
I mean, you already mentioned that you are now a tenured researcher at CE List. So, can you briefly tell us what a CA and CA list is about?
Okay. Yeah, so actually CEA List is basically a research institute. It's a branch of a big and famous French research center called CEA. So CEA is a public French institution which is dedicated to research and development, and it has more than 20K employees, and it's a world top ranked in innovator. And yeah, we are at CEA a branch of this of CEA, and we are focused on tech research and in the industrial transfer in the specific domain of digital systems. And actually, we are also a partner member of the Université Paris-Saclay. So it's a very huge university in the south of Paris. It's a world top 15 and number one in the EU according to the Shanghai ranking. So it's big stuff. And yeah, we are a partner member, so we are a research institute. We do not directly give classes and this kind of stuff, but for example, PhD students from the universities, they come and do their PhD in our institute and works as CEA employees, but in the same time they are students of the Paris-Saclay Université. So yeah, that's a bit about our institution.
I see. And when you're supervising students, typically do you have a supervisor at the university and at CA, or does the student only work with, for example, a supervisor at a CA?
Both are possible actually. The thing in France is that to supervise a student, a PhD student, you must have a thing called habilitation à diriger les recherches. So it's a kind of right to supervise research. And so yeah, and for doing that, you must first supervise students, co-supervise student with a senior guy who has this kind of degree. And then when you have done that a couple of times and you have done research and conducted a team for some time, you can get this degree. And and then you can be yourself the main supervisor, or and if eventually younger people supervising with you. And yeah, it can happen. So in our team at CEA, we have one guy who is more or less able, who is about to get this habilitation, so he can already directly supervise students, but sometimes also we can do a partnership with a guy, for example, from the Paris-Saclay Université, and there the guy will be the actual supervisor, and we will do most actually of the job, and the guy will just co-supervise with us. And I think it's quite interesting because when we have a mixed topic, it can create collaboration, and we can have input. So it's a bit mixed actually.
Okay, I understand. And I mean, you also directly got a tenured position, right? So is this something that is common in France? Do you not use the tenure track system, but have like this tenure positions?
Actually, generally speaking, there are no tenure tracks in France. No, there have been some legal changes so that some specific but a very small number of position may include a tenure track, but it's still very uncommon. And actually, the common path in France is that the positions are typically directly tenured, but you are expected to do postdocs before getting them. So, for example, in many countries, for example, in the US, you can see all these PhD students that don't even get their PhD, and they say, okay, I'm an assistant professor now. This barely happen here in France. When you're just finishing your PhD, what you're doing is trying to find a postdoc in a foreign country. And after 1 or 2 postdoc, then you can start applying for a permanent position, and then you will get tenured directly. So that's how the system works here. So I think the time people, for example, in the US may spend in their tenure track, maybe people here will spend it in postdoc, maybe a bit less time than people can be in a tenure track in the US. But it's I think two different systems.
Okay, I understand. And can you tell us a bit more about the academic system, how it works in France, for example, the typical career progression or how funding works and so on?
Actually, the French public research system is, I think, a quite complex and exotic one. Actually, I'm originally from Belgium, so when I have arrived here, it took me a bit of time to get an idea of how things work, and I'm not sure to master everything. So I will try to do my best to give you a general overview. So actually, the system can be seen as divided into 2 different parts. There are research institutes in the one end, where basically employees are full-time researchers. They typically can do a bit of teaching with a limited number of hours. And in the other end, the second part is schools or universities, where employees are professors, and they also do research, but they must give, I think it's about 128 hours of teaching per year, more or less. And so that's the 2 branches of the system. So from a computer science perspective, among the different research institutes which are here, 3 are interesting. First, there is our CEA list, and also there is CNRS and INRIA. So for us at CEA list, basically compared to the rest of the academic system, one big difference is that employees here are not civil servants, but regular employees, like in a private company. So career-wise, things work a bit like in a private company rather than in university. So notably for when they open positions, there are no yearly public call with a large committee for hiring, as maybe we will discuss later in the interview. And another particularity is that we have a focus on industry transfer. So about 25% of our external funding comes from our industrial partners. So that's about us at CEA list. And as I said, the 2 other institutes are CNRS and INRIA. So CNRS is basically in French Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, so National Center for Scientific Research. So it's some kind of a generalist institution. So it's about all science, physics, maths, biology, whatever. And these guys, they fund fundamental research in all these domains. And one thing specific about CNRS is that usually they don't have kind of proper offices for researchers. So usually when you get a fund, you get a tenured position from the CNRS, you are sent within the buildings of a university or a research institute, and you are working there, but you are paid by the CNRS actually. So that's how it works. And yeah, also INRIA, I think it's quite well known in the computer science community. So INRIA is Institut National de Recherche en Informatique et Automatique. So National Institute for Research in Computer Science and Automation. And so basically these guys, they fund research in computer science, but also mathematics. And so they have buildings for their researchers, these guys. But one specific stuff is that there is a division by teams. So they are basically you have INRIA, then you have different research center by a position in France, and in a research center you have different teams working on a different topic. So maybe, I don't know, there is a team that is developing the Coq prover system, and it has its own name. And yeah, that's all this INRIA is organized. So this was basically for the research institutes. And now regarding schools and universities. So yeah, it's also something a bit specific to France, is that you have what they call grid schools, grande école in French. So these are kind of universities, but they have a strong selection at entrance for students. And so that usually after finishing their secondary school, students do several years to prepare themselves to succeed in the competition to enter there. Yeah, they are basically the prestigious places. And then, yes, there is university where actually entrance is a bit easier. So the hiring process and career path is rather complex, but the advantage is that it's quite centralized and thus often similar from one place to another. And one thing to know is that many positions require a strong command of French. So yeah, now there are some places where they start to do international studies in English, but in most places everything is in French. So yeah, it can. I don't know that you have no chance if you don't speak French when you apply, but yeah, I think a good command of French can help. I can say a bit about the career path there. Actually, to be a kind of associate professor and full professor, typically you don't usually do that in the same university. So you are an associate professor in a university, you become one, and then you can stay there as long as you wish. But if you want to get to become a full professor, you have to apply like you are applying for a totally new position. You can apply to your same institution, but you will face competition from people from outside. And you can also go to another university and apply there to become a full professor there. And at each step, to become an associate professor, because as there is no tenure, there is not kind of assistant professor. So either to become associate professor or full professor, the process is that first you must have a degree. So to be associate professor, you must have a PhD. To be a full professor, you must have this habilitation to supervise research. And then there is some kind of national check that is done. So you have to send a kind of really detailed CV in French to maybe you can do it in English, I'm not sure, to some kind of a national institution. And every year there is a call for that, and you must send your detailed CV, and they will review it and give you some kind of stamp that say, okay, your CV is good enough for you to apply for position. And yeah, as soon as you have the degree and this kind of qualification, as they call it, you can apply in the different universities, either for an associate or a full professor position. So that's how it works. I hope it's clear, because it's quite complex. Maybe what can I try to say? Yeah, actually, so at CEA, as I said, we are more we work more like in a private business. So we have a lot of flexibility for hiring, but recruitment in the other places, yeah, you know, it's there is a kind of yearly cycle with open calls, and so typically the first steps of the procedure is usually in autumn. So that's then that you must try to get this kind of qualification and try to start making contact with teams and this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, you usually the application is during winter, spring, and usually you start September of the next year. So that's more or less the agenda. And yeah, I think that's I think that gives you the big ideas about the system. I think if you want more details, check on the internet. Notably, I think for CNRS, NIRIA, and CEA, is our website in English that can sometimes explain the procedures. And I think, yeah, if you're interested also by that, contact people in teams in France, and I think they will be happy to explain you what you should do. And so yeah, that can help.
Oh, well, that was all extremely helpful also for me to understand the system better.
Okay, my pleasure. If it helps a bit, I'm happy.
And I was also wondering about funding. So how does the funding system in France work?
Yeah, the funding system, I think that at the level of France, there is one big institution, which is the ANR, so Agence Nationale de la Recherche. So it's a national agency for research. And yes, they have yearly calls for research proposals. So some are yeah, they have different mechanisms. Some, yeah, there are some for young researchers, some for if you want to do a partnership with a business, some for yeah, you know, classical propositions. And yeah, it's writing a grant and submitting it. I think you should submit. I think it's November, December, and then you have a second phase in I think it's May. And then, yeah, if you are accepted, I think it starts during the summer or something like that. You have other kind of yeah, you know, local or regional stuff that can have a bit of funding. Also, there can be national programs, like they say, okay, the French government say, okay, we want to invest a lot in cybersecurity or a lot in AI, and they can put money, and yeah, there can be competitions. And of course, France is a part of the European Union, so I think yeah, you know, a lot of funding comes from there. So there are two main ways. The first one is the Horizon Europe, Europe Horizon program that is open calls. It's usually consortiums on quite applied topics that get money there. And then there are also the ERC, which is more for you know, more like for individual people, and like really more fundamental research project, but it can be applied too. And yeah, so there are these three type of grants: starter grant, consolidator grant, and I think senior grant. I think it notably depends on how much time happens since you got your PhD, that define which kind of step where you can apply. And yeah, for us at CEA also, as I said, we have a strong focus on industry transfer. So yeah, we have partners, a lot of partners, and we have people who are just hired and dedicated to interact with industry, find partners to do industry transfer. And yeah, these guys fund us also a lot. So yeah, that's the main source of funding, and yeah, that's it.
You said you're originally from Belgium and also started your career there. Do you also know a bit how the system there works? Is it comparable or very different?
Yeah, actually, it's quite. I think the Belgium system is different, and I think it's closer to what you will find in most countries than what you have in France. But yeah, one thing that is important to understand about Belgium is that Belgium is a federal state, and research and universities are not do not depend from the federal state, but from regions. So you have not one system in Belgium, but basically two systems, one for Flemish-speaking universities and one for French-speaking universities. So there are differences, but yeah, originally both systems come from a single one, which was split. So yeah, there are still a lot of similarities because they have not diverged that much. And so, yeah, in both cases, I think the core idea is basically to become a professor in a university after 1 or 2 postdocs. So that's how it works. Yeah, and I think contrary to France, the system is quite decentralized. So I think universities are more independent, I think, and so the hiring process and career path can vary a bit from one university to another. So I think, yeah, the best for Belgium is to be on the to follow the mailing list or Twitter or whatever to get the job offers, and typically each university will give the details about the process and what the career path will be. But it's quite common, you know. You have usually you start as an assistant professor, and then you get some kind of equivalent associate, and then full professor, and you usually stay in the same institution. Actually, most professor positions, they include teaching duties, but there are also research only positions. And so in Flemish-speaking universities, they are opened directly by the university. So when the university opens a call for a position, they will say, okay, this is a classical professor position where you have teaching. Universities actually, there's a research-only position do exist, but they are not directly opened by the university, but by an external institution called the FNRS, Fonds National de la Recherche Scientifique, so National Fund for Scientific Research. And yeah, there the idea is that you have to team up with some guys in a university where you want to become a tenured researcher. And yeah, with these guys, you apply. There is a yearly annual call by the FNRS, and you apply there. And if the FNRS, there is a competition, actually, quite strong one. But yeah, if your application is accepted, then you become a tenured researcher in the university. It works a bit like the CNRS in France, where you get this kind of tenure position to do fundamental research, and then you are sent to a university because the CNRS and FNRS don't have buildings, so you are sent in a university to do the research. Okay, so that's how it works. And there again, you can do a bit of teaching if you wish, but not that much. So yeah, that's all what I can say about the Belgian system. And again, if you are interested, just contact people there in the team, and I think they will be happy to give you hints and tips and this kind of stuff about positions.
So you joined about 9 months ago, right? So what have you been doing in your first half a year or 1 year?
Actually, when I arrived, I had some paper submissions to finish, so I worked a bit on that at my arrival. Then I think I did a lot of stuff, actually. First hiring people and starting supervising them. So I had one intern starting in March, one postdoc in May, and I should get one PhD student in September or November. So yeah, that took me a lot of time, much more than I had expected, actually. It's not that easy to hire good people and then to supervise them. So I had also to dig a bit in the state of the art and the background of what the team which I joined is doing, so that I could see which things we could do together, and go a bit deeper into that. And I use that notably for starting to apply for research grants or preparing applications for research grants, which can also be rather time consuming. I've also been involved in an industrial transfer project with some of the guys in the team. So it was a meeting with the partner, meeting with the guys in the team, and defining strategies, coding some stuff. So that's been also an interesting part of the job, and also helping also the team which I've joined. Notably, I did work on improving the communication of the team, notably on the internet, helping building relationships with other teams and this kind of stuff. So that's been many things to do during the first year, and also many things to learn. But that's been a quite exciting first year.
Yeah, sounds like it. And you already mentioned, right, that you don't have any teaching duties, right?
No, I don't have, but I can, and I would like to do a bit of teaching. And there, I have an agreement with a professor in an engineering school in France to do teaching about kind of vulnerability detection classes and this kind of stuff. But it will start next year, in January next year. So actually, it could have been earlier, but I arrived in September, and so all the classes were already organized. So it's for the next academic year, and we'll do a bit of teaching, but I think it will be like 20 hours of actual teaching, and then exams and this kind of stuff. So it's not that much, but I'm also looking forward to it.
Perhaps let's get started talking a bit about the interviewing process. So can you give us an overview of your timeline of applying for jobs and interviewing for them, and then also a bit about the process?
So actually, as I said, in France, and also in other countries, when you want to get a job for September of a year, you have to start more or less September from the previous year to really launch the process. And that's what in September 2019 I started really to focus a lot on trying to get a position. So just met people, did polls and this kind of stuff. And like around November 2019, my former supervisor from when I was a postdoc in Paris contacted me and said, okay, I know that you are looking for a permanent position, and we are about to open a position in our team for applications. So I advise you to apply if you are interested in the position. So which I was. So I did apply, and I did 3 interview rounds in the between December 2019 and the end of February 2020. And at the beginning of March 2020, I just got the news that I basically was the one getting the job, and I was proposed the job to start in September. Actually, basically, I had also other positions in mind that I plan to possibly to apply to. But actually, I got the deadline for applying for these positions was end of March or April. So I was in that position where I got offered that position at CEA, and I had not yet been able to. The deadline for sending your CV was not even arrived for the other positions. So actually, I was saying, okay, what should I do? I was quite sure that no other position would tick more boxes than the one that CEA was doing. But I was still saying, maybe should I still try? Maybe I will go there, and I realized that actually I really want to get there. So I was a bit in between, and then actually that's just the time when the COVID pandemic hit, basically, and then it just stopped a bit everything, and in the end I said, okay, I'm happy with the CA positions. I think that the other one will not be better, and probably even they will, some were cancelled, and there were a lot of uncertainty. So I just said yes to CEA, and I started there. So that's how it happened.
Also consider, or would you have considered positions also in industry, or let's say also positions in other countries than France, or did you always consider going back to France or Belgium?
I think my primary plan was to get a position in academia, because that's what I wanted to do. But if I was, I would have taken a position in industry. But my goal was really to go to academia, and I think that's the plan was not to go especially to France or to Belgium, but staying close to Belgium, where a lot of my family and friends are, was, I think, one key part of the criteria. But it could have not been in Belgium or France. It could have been in Luxembourg, Germany, the Netherlands, in the UK, or whatever. It was then all the other parameters were entering into questions. It's just that I didn't want it to be extremely far from there. So that was one point.
I see. And in terms of preparing the application materials, so what did the application package include for a CA?
Yeah, actually, the way the system worked is that I just first to send just a CV and do some kind of Skype interview with the guys in the permanent research in the team where I was about to go. So it was just the CV, and then there were several phases of interviews with managers, and there there was mainly a statement about, it was kind of a research statement saying how you plan to work, which research you plan to do, and basically how it would fit in the team there, and how you could do a kind of research transfer, or it could be used for that. So that's what was basically needed. In terms of application package, but I think that the documents were not very the big part of it, because I think it's more them who have contacted a set of candidates which they knew of and launch them into the process. So I think the core part was to succeed in the interviews rather than getting a strong initial set of CV research statement, teaching statement to get the interview actually. So that's how it works.
Makes sense. And in terms of references, did you have to provide any in the CV?
Yeah, they asked me, but the thing is that basically for my specific cases, I had done a postdoc with them, and the next postdoc in London, they knew personally my advisor in London. So the letters, they asked them because at some point formally it was needed, but I think they had already the information from the fact that I think one of I'd worked for them for 2-3 years, and then they had personal feedback from my supervisor in London, so it was not very important. So I just asked my postdoc supervisors and my PhD supervisor to write a letter and send to them. So yeah.
You already mentioned that you had 3 interviewing rounds. So how were these interviews structured? What was a typical interview or visit like?
Okay, so actually, there were 3 physical visits actually. The first one was a 1-day visit where I did first a paper presentation with the whole lab in the morning. And then I had lunch and I spent the afternoon with the team where I would possibly be hired to discuss with them what we could do together and this kind of stuff. And yeah, after that first visit, I said, okay, you made it to the second one. So I was invited for a second physical visit, which was a 2 days visit. And yeah, the first day, first I had an interview with the head of lab on day one. So it was rather a long discussion with him. And the second day, I had an interview with the human resource manager. So it was also a rather long interview. Yeah, so that's it. And after this second interview, some days later, I got the news that I got accepted, and I switched to the last step, which was also a third physical visit, a 2 days visit, where I had on day one I had an interview with the head of the department. So yeah, it's really a top manager, and yeah, you just you have a long discussion with him or her, and then the second day I had a long set of tests with an external human resource contractor. So it was a lot of psychological, intellectual tests, and yeah, and after that it took, I think, 1 or 2 weeks, and then I got the job proposal. So that's more or less how it worked. So it's more like in industry actually, so than in academia.
I see. Well, also sounds very intense.
Yeah. It was very intense, and a lot of travel from a friend from the UK, from London to Paris, and with the pandemic starting to appear, so it was a bit yeah, it was quite intense, but yeah, it was also quite a useful experience because you can really meet the people, speak with them, see what you will do, what you would do, and this kind of stuff, and yeah, meet the management, see what they would expect from you. So yeah, I think you have really a rather deep understanding of where you would go if you say yes. So I think it was really worth it. So yeah.
And you didn't have something like a job talk, right? Only the paper presentation during the first visit?
Yeah, that's it. It was presenting a paper, and getting questions from the team, and all the team is in the lab, and yeah, it could be also questions about possible collaborations from the paper, and yeah, okay, you did that, we could do that together, and so yeah, that's a bit how it worked. Yes.
And what kind of questions would the head ask? Like, what's your planned research and questions like this, or something else?
You mean in the for the paper presentation? It was more mainly questions about the research itself, because some guys, they were just interested in the research, and the guys from the team where I was applying, yeah, they had a few questions about the research. But then after, we had this afternoon together, and yeah, they used the paper presentation to discuss a bit with me what we could do together. And then after the interview with the management and the HR, there were more kind of open discussion about my career path, about what I would do in the team, to answer questions about my view about research, about my view about industry transfer, and yeah, it was really open-minded discussions, quite long ones about that. So yeah, and with the HR, it was more questions about what are my projects, my professional project in the future, and how do I feel what is important for me at work, relationship with colleagues, and this kind of stuff. So it was more than 1 year ago, so I don't have a precise I don't remember precisely what they've asked, but yeah, that's more or less what it was about.
Do you know whether this is a typical kind of interview structure for universities or institutions in France, or is this perhaps specific to a CEA or a CEA list?
I think it's specific to CEA because it works more, as I said, in the private sector, and this is the kind of stuff that you have for private sector interviews. I think in the rest of I've actually done in yes, before this applying at CEA, I had done 1 or 2 interviews in universities, and there it's more like something more traditional in the sense that you have this open call, and then you just come in front of a panel of many professor or researcher from the university and from outside, and then you have questions about your project and this kind of stuff. So that's I think how it works in other in other places. And also in other research institutes, the process is again different. So like at INRIA or CNRS, but I don't really have a lot of details about how it works. So I think maybe if you're interested in that, just contact people in these institutes and they will help you. And I think also, as I said, there is a version of the website in English that can give you details on this topic.
Great. Okay. And can you remember any kind of special circumstances during interviewing? Any kind of, let's say, embarrassing moments or very happy moments or otherwise like memories that stuck with you?
There was at some point during my paper talk, there was a guy who was very, very passionate about the topic and started to ask a lot of questions. And it was a bit, in some way I was happy to have so much interest, but also maybe the other guys wanted to ask questions. And so, it was a bit, but this can happen. And just answer the questions. And at some point the chair more or less say, okay, let other people talk about that. And on a more funny side also, one thing that stuck is that actually I was given an hotel room in the center of Paris, which was very, very great. So I was very close to the French Senate, so it's a very wonderful place. But actually, on I think that day or the next day, there was a vote in the Senate for making gay marriage legal. And so there were protests from people who were against that. And so, during the part of the night before the interview, I was in my room with a lot of noise of far-right people shooting against gay marriage. And so it was a bit, it was a bit embarrassing and not the best way to have a good night before the interview. But it was fine in the end. So it's just funny anecdote about it.
I see. Okay. Yeah, great. We talked now quite a bit about interviewing. So perhaps let's continue with the decision-making process and when you heard back. And you already mentioned, right, you received the offer very quickly after your third interview. When was that?
So I think it was 1 or 2 weeks after the third interview. So it was, I think, first or second week of March, just before the first lockdown in France. That's how it happened. And as I said, I had the ability to start applying for other positions, but I was not convinced that I would find something better. And then COVID made me think, okay, just stick with CEA because it's what you want, and other positions, they start to be cancelled, they start to be and maybe it's not a good idea, maybe I won't be even able to go there to do the interview. So it was a bit that's how it happened.
I see. So you made the decision very quickly, or like did, for example, the offer also came with an expiration date attached, or was the decision timeline flexible?
They had some flexibility, and they told me, okay, take your time to think. And so I say, okay, I will think a bit. And and then after a week, more or less, I said yes. But I think they didn't put a deadline. But I think that if I had lasted for 2 or 3 weeks, at some point they would have asked me, okay, do you want to commit or not? But as I said yes, after 1 week or 2, it was it didn't cause any situation like that actually.
And were you also in a two-party situation, or was that not an?
Yeah, you mean like with your partner being no, I
Exactly.
was not in such a situation, no.
And what about the startup package? So what did that include besides, of course, your salary? Like, did you have some funding for students, or is that something that is typically not included?
Okay, no, actually, yeah, of course you have your salary and advantages and this kind of stuff yeah, with it. And then, yeah, at CEA, it's a bit like it in RIA, it's team based. And also also in universities, they like to work by teams. And so actually, when you're hired, you become part of a team. And so this comes with rights and duties. The duties is basically that you're there to complement the team. So you're not supposed to come there and then just work completely alone or know exactly what you want and completely ignore others. So you are asked to basically try to do research that will complement what the other guys do and try to do collaboration with them and also help the development of the team. So that was the for me, yeah. The idea was to the guys were into more formal approaches, and my line was more to go into bring more pragmatic line of research for the topic of the team, which is binary level security. But also, and also, I had to help with communication, with organization. So that was some parts that some duties that I have. But in the other end, you have also rights, and the rights is that you benefit from the work of the team and the resources of the team. And so, that's where the work package is. So actually, the team has money that is basically apart from the funding of the CEA, but also the contract with industry, the research fundings, and so you can benefit from that to hire PhD students, interns, postdocs, and so I had, as I said, I have one intern, one PhD student, and one postdoc. So I just say, okay, I want to work on these topics. I think they will help the team, and we just agree on that. And I was given the money to hire these guys, and also you benefit from the technology of the team. So in the teams, we are developing a tool called BinSec, and there are stuff, and I can build on that and can have help from people who know the tool. And I have also benefit from the contacts, the reputation of the team, and also there is mentoring. So typically you're just not there, and then find yourself the way to write good grant application. Find yourself the way to hire good students. Usually, there are more senior people in the team, and at the beginning they are there with you to say, okay, that's all. We hire people, take inspiration from that, and if you want to go this way, take care of that. And so that's the package, the kind of package of I got.
And did you directly accept this offer, or did you also try negotiating any of the parameters?
I think we had these different interviews with the team first, discussing with the team for half a day about what we would do together, and then long discussions with the management. And so I think that in some way the negotiation happened at that point because we agreed on what I would do, which kind of resources I would possibly get, and so that's where it happened. I had also this discussion with the HR where she asked me what about money questions and this kind of stuff. So I think it happened there, and from that then I got a proposal, and the proposal was matching the kind of discussion we had during the interview phase, and so yeah, I just accepted based on that, because it was what I was happy with.
Mhm. Makes sense. Great. So I would say let's slowly wrap up. Like, what was the most surprising part about the whole process?
I think, as I said, I had done a couple of interviews in universities before, and so I had done once for a student job an interview in the private sector, and so I was not totally it was not totally something that I didn't know, but yeah, the fact that the interview process was much more like in the private business was something quite surprising, and so it works very differently from that. And notably also I had this time with the external contractor for HR, which just did a lot of psychological tests and psychological interviews and intellectual tests and this kind of stuff. And that was, I think something I had never done or barely done before. And that was a, really surprising and interesting experiment, because also sometimes you learn even things about yourself while doing this kind of stuff. So it was a really, really interesting experience, and a really surprising one.
Then what kind of role did mentors for you play?
I think that, as I said, there is not some kind of open call there. There's a more kind of contact set of persons. They think they could be good match for the team. And so, I think that the fact that I had been a postdoc there, and that I think the guy who supervised me was happy with my work, helped me to get contacted for the position. So I think it helped a bit with that. Then for the process itself, it's just no, it was not about mentoring. It was just I just did the stuff by myself. So yeah.
I see. And I was also curious how the email exchange looked like. Like, were the emails rather formal or rather informal, since you already had some contacts at the university or CEA?
It actually depended a bit on whom I had contact with. At the level of the team where I was about to apply, it was a team where I had already worked, and also the head of lab at that time was also the head of lab when I was a postdoc there, so I knew the guy. So I think that with the team it was very informal. Because we knew each other, and that's it. But I think with the head of lab it was a bit more formal, but still quite relaxed, because also we knew each other. Then for the other interviews at the next level with the HR representative, HR manager, department manager, and external contractor there, it was people that I had maybe been in the same room as them at some point one day, but I didn't really know them, and there it was much more formal actually.
And what can you share with future faculty candidates applying at CA or also at academic institutions in general?
I think at CEA, list, as I said, as it works in the private sector, and that there is not this open call, yearly open call system. I think that do not hesitate to reach out at any time to teams where you would like to work. If the guys, if you hear about a team there that you like, reach out, and either they will have a position open very soon, and they will say, okay, maybe we didn't know about this guy, and we could hire him and or her, and then it can help you, or so I think really getting into contact, or you are just in their list, so that they know when they will open a position, they remember you, and when they will contact candidates, they will contact you. So I think it's something that you should do. And I think also in my case, being a postdoc there helped. And so I think it's the same for postdoc. If you're looking for a position, just reach out to teams there, and probably they will. If it is a good match, they can propose you a postdoc, and then you have a fit in inside, and then it can help you to get a permanent position later. And I think for I think a kind of recommendation for applying in general to positions. I think from my what happened to me actually, I think trying to leave the best impression as you can in all the places where you work, either as a PhD student and postdoc, is I think helps a lot, because people remember you, people will recommend you to others. If at some point they want to hire someone, they will remember you. And I think, of course, working with people is not always easy. Sometimes there can be conflicts with supervisors and this kind of stuff. But trying to, I think, to be honest, to do your work as best as you can, and being reliable, I think, then people will remember that, and they will tell about it. And I think it's something important that can help, and I think it has helped me. So.
Okay, great. Then thank you very much, Mikkel, for sharing all your extremely valuable experience, and see you around.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.